Number 25. Actun Tunichil Muknal. Also known as the Cave of the Stone Sepulchre, it's like something straight out of Indiana Jones. Housing numerous skeletons, the creepiest thing about this place is that most of them belong to children. Sacrificed children, to be more precise. Most likely, many years ago there was a drought, and these unfortunate youngsters were the ones chosen to have their skulls crushed. Number 24. Taka Kanuma Greenland Park in Japan. After opening in the 70s, this theme park was abruptly closed down supposedly due to a number of deaths on its rides, and what was once intended to be the happiest place on Earth is now gradually being swallowed by the encroaching wilderness. The close proximity to Fukushima, where the nuclear reactor melted down, and the ever-present fog all combined to make this one of the top contenders for the next big zombie outbreak. Number 23. The Overtone Bridge. Found near the village of Milton in Scotland, this bridge is the location of numerous suicides, over 600 to be exact. Every year since its construction, roughly 12 to 15 dogs launch themselves to their deaths. That's right, dogs. Why? Well, although there are numerous theories, no one really knows. One thing is for sure though, the dogs are hell-bent on leaving this planet behind, as some people have witnessed dogs jump off, survive, climb back up, and jump off again. Number 22. Belitz Military Hospital. It was the year 1916 when a young German soldier was sent to this Berlin hospital in order to recuperate from injuries sustained in World War I. Later to become the infamous Adolf Hitler, the hospital where he recovered suffered not even a scratch over the course of the next century. These days, its abandoned halls stand as a tribute to some of the darkest days in human history. Number 21. The Sedlec Ossuary. Ever since soil from the Holy Land was sprinkled over this small town in the Czech Republic, people from all over the world have claimed Sedlec as their final resting place. After hundreds of years, though, the number of bones on this relatively small property began to get a bit out of control, and the priests realized they had to do something. Their chosen course of action? Redecorate, using the bones. If you go today, you'll be greeted by an entire church built from seemingly nothing but human bones. Number 20. Pripyat. Once home to over 50,000 people, this Ukrainian city housed the workers of the Chernobyl nuclear plant until its 1986 meltdown. Given that the city is in what has come to be known as the Zone of Alienation, or the 30-kilometer radius surrounding Chernobyl, the city is quite literally dead. These days, however, the government has started allowing tourists due to decreased radiation levels. Number 19. The Staten Island Tugboat Graveyard. Just north of Rossville on Staten Island, New York, you'll find the final resting place of hundreds of tugboats, ferries, and barges, most of which are century-old remnants of a time when New York Harbor was still alive and kicking. Number 18. Sanji Resort. Found in Taiwan, this place was originally constructed to be a luxury resort, but after a series of fatal accidents, it was shut down by the government. Since then, it has been shrouded in secrecy, and not even the locals will dare to venture near the quote-unquote death pods. Number 17. The Ryugyong Hotel. As one of the 20th century's greatest architectural failures, this hotel was only partially finished due to the barely surprising fact that the North Korean government ran out of money. At any rate, a huge abandoned North Korean hotel will certainly find room on this list. Number 16. Sigizawara. This medieval citadel, located deep within Transylvania, is best known as the birthplace of Vlad the Impaler, the real-life inspiration behind Count Dracula. Number 15. The ghost city of Fangdu. This 2,000-year-old ghost town is something like hell on earth, at least the Chinese version. Believed by locals to be the spot where spirits cross over after death, the place is chock full of burial sites and mock torture devices. Number 14. The Winchester Mystery House. It's a strange tale, but it starts with Sarah Winchester, the heiress to the Winchester fortune. After the death of her husband and daughter in the late 1800s, she consulted with a medium claiming that she was being haunted by the spirits of all those who had ever been killed by a Winchester rifle. The medium told her that the only way to free herself was to start building a house, and never stop. Sure enough, until the day she died, the Winchester Mystery House was under construction, and it should come as no surprise that visitors today are likely to get lost within its deliberately winding and confusing interior. Number 13. The Ruins of Detroit. Detroit is a land of contrast. Although it has a bustling downtown area, many parts of the city are little more than memorials to a time long gone. With large industrial structures crumbling throughout, it's the face of urban decay. Number 12. City Hall Subway Station. Resting deep beneath the busy streets of New York City lies a subway station that no train has stopped at in almost 70 years, save for one public expedition on the station's 100-year anniversary. Number 11. The Matsuo Ghost Mine. Located in northern Japan, this was once the largest sulfur mine in the Far East. After closing in the 70s, however, it was abandoned, and the only thing remaining are the large residential complexes that used to house all of the workers. What makes this place so creepy, though, is the heavy mist that constantly shrouds the area. It's so heavy, in fact, that some people have reported taking days to find the place. Number 10. British Sea Forts. Constructed by the British Royal Navy during the Second World War as an advanced line of defense, these forts now sit abandoned a few feet above the waves of the North Sea. Number 9. Isla de las Muñecas. Found deep in the swamp of former Aztec country is what has come to be known as the Island of the Dolls. Although it's now abandoned, at one time it had a single inhabitant. His name was Don Julian Santana Barrera, and according to the legend, one day a young girl drowned just offshore. Not long after this, Don Julian found her doll floating in the water. Then he found another, and another. Supposedly, as tribute, he decorated the entire island with the dolls before mysteriously drowning in the very same canal as the little girl. Number 8. Prague's Old Jewish Cemetery. Normally, one overcrowded cemetery is enough to be considered creepy. The Old Jewish Cemetery in Prague, however, takes things to a whole new level, considering that it's actually 11 cemeteries stacked on top of each other. That's right, the cemetery got so full that not once, not twice, but 11 times they actually decided to build another cemetery right on top of the old one. Number 7. Varosha. As a result of Turkish intervention on the island of Cyprus, several areas are no longer accessible to modern Cypriots. For this reason, entire seaside resorts like Varosha sit completely empty and abandoned. Number 6. Gunkanjima, literally translated as Battleship Island due to its supposed resemblance to the massive vessel. Like several other places on this list, Gunkanjima used to be a mining facility, and just like those other places, it got shut down. Since then, it's deteriorated even further and has even been featured on the History Channel's show Life After People. Number 5. Hellingly Hospital. If the name of this English hospital isn't enough to convince you of its creepiness, consider the fact that it's not really a hospital at all. It's actually an insane asylum, or rather was an insane asylum before being abandoned several years ago. Number 4. Candido Godoy. This town in southern Brazil holds an interesting distinction. It's the twin capital of the world. In fact, its twin birth rate is 18 times higher than the world average. Why? Well, according to the locals, it was after Chief Nazi physician Mengele, who fled to the village after World War II, that the birth started happening. Oddly enough, Mengele was known to have a strange fascination with twins. Modern scientists, however, propose that it was most likely due to toxic waste or inbreeding. Either way, it's pretty creepy. Number 3. The Catacombs of Paris. Around the 17th and 18th centuries, Paris' cemeteries were getting so full that residue from decaying organic material, aka dead bodies, was getting into the water supply and creating very unsanitary conditions, hence the creation of the Paris Catacombs. Number 2. The bird suicide grounds of Jatinga. The small village of Jatinga in northern India seems like any other quiet, isolated village in the world except for one thing. Every year around the months of September and October, hundreds of birds dive to their deaths within city limits. To make things even stranger, the incidents only happen in the evenings between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. across a roughly mile-long strip of land. The village has even taken steps to capitalize on the phenomenon by setting up bird watching towers around the area. And number 1, Aokigahara Forest. It's not just the dense shrubbery that makes this quote-unquote suicide forest so creepy. It's all the dead bodies. Located at the base of Mount Fiji, ever since the 1950s, the Japanese have been committing suicide here in droves. In fact, it's so bad that there are now signs scattered throughout the woods saying things such as, "Life is precious," and "Think of your family."